All right, so I did the Dr. Ken video, and I wanted to follow that up because there are a lot more feats of just insane squatting that I wanted to get through. They deserve their own video, and I wanted to actually put in perspective what is possible, where the bar has been set with some of these people. We're gonna start with, he's not the originator, but he was probably the first person to make it cool, and that is America's sweetheart, Jesse Marunde, rest in peace. Jesse Marunde was known for his athleticism. He was 6'3", like 315 pounds. He was a very athletic dude. Now, he wasn't a static freak. He probably would not have hung in today's field. But back in the day, his ability to move around implements was unprecedented. And that allowed him, as a guy who wasn't quite as strong, who didn't have a 900-pound deadlift, that allowed him to hang with some of the best. 2005, I believe he took second place. This is the year before that. We're looking at December 2004. So the year before he took second place at the World's Strongest Man, 20 reps squat workout. Now I like this because this isn't just pacing yourself to get the 20. This is a guy on a mission. He's getting the first few out quick. For training, the point isn't to avoid fatigue. It's actually to kind of run into it, to expose yourself to it. I'm actually surprised he's moving this slow. You can start to see fatigue set in. And consider this when you're considering where Dr. Ken was around rep 11 or 12. You're seeing a smooth slowing as his glutes have to work to crank his hips through at the top. It's not as springy. It's not as tight of a rep. But that makes it damn more impressive that he got all the way to 20. Oh, he's hanging on by a thread here. This is a lot of guts. I know what this feels like. 3 reps is an eternity right here. His lungs are on fire, probably getting some acid reflux. Fingers are numb. At this point, it's hard to feel your feet make contact with the floor. It's pretty disorienting. Now that right there on the floor, Jesse's going to be there for about 3 minutes. That's what high intensity is. That's what getting into the weeds looks like. As kind of an homage to Jesse Marunde, every year I've seen them on both his birthday and the anniversary of his death, but squats will be done in memoriam of Jesse Marunde. So people will post their best 20 repper. It's kind of a nice training challenge. It doesn't really interrupt your training, and it's a good gut check, and it's a good reminder to be grateful. Nothing reminds you to be grateful like going through some really brutal suffering. So the anniversary of his death was actually on the 25th of July, and that's coming up in about 4 weeks. So I'm actually going to do that. I'm going to hold you guys to a 20 rep squat challenge. If anybody wants to submit a balls out 20 repper, go ahead and send it to me. And after July 25th, I'll do a video in memoriam of Jesse Marunde, and we'll see who stacked up, who put up the most impressive ball busting effort. This isn't going to be like the gimmick Olympics of like the ego lifting Olympics that like Tellender does. This is going to be who put out the greatest effort. So don't think that if you're not working very hard that you're going to make up for it by like doing the shit on a skateboard or something. And I think I'll throw my hat in there with you guys. I think I'll do the same thing. We'll make a month out of it. 20 rep squats in July. Let's see what you guys are good for. Now, this is a guy, I don't know his name. His YouTube handle is Blenderate, and this was 10 years, 12 years ago. Now, this is a guy that hit 462 for 20, and he also did it weighing 259, so he's considerably lighter than Jesse was. Nothing on his knees, no belt. This guy also has a video of him doing 315 for 42, if you want to see what real suffering looks like. Again, you're starting to see form breakdown. When you actually get to this level of intensity, it's not just that the form breaks down. You see the strain. That's really what it is. You see how much harder everything has to work and how everything slows down to be able to keep you moving to lockout. That's 20 reps. He actually got through those pretty fast. For a set of breathing squats, this is Will Dinwiddie. I have mentioned him in the past. I had the pleasure of competing against him probably 10 years ago up in Idaho. He's a former Army Ranger, I think, and has one of the biggest motors I've seen on anybody. His shit is completely legit because I've seen him do it in person. The contest we were in had a 425 deadlift for reps, which is very light. Back then, middleweight shows, they weren't what they are now. And all of the guys were dying at kind of their natural limit based on how much rep work or capacity work they did. So it was a lot of 16, 17, 18 reps. That was kind of the cutoff. And you'll find that with people that don't get into the weeds with compound movements on these high rep sets, you take 60%, even 50%, and you have them do as many as they can. A lot of them won't make it to 20 because they're not conditioned. Will came in and did something like 28 reps in a minute. Now, any of you who think you're strong, put 185 on the bar and pull 28 reps. See how it feels. Feels like dog shit. Now make it a little bit heavy. You'll see when 15, 16, 17 reps come in, it's just next level stuff. Will is conditioned to this type of stuff. He says his mentality is he can always do a couple more reps. And he's used to long suck fests. He's used to doing these rucks. Will also has a video of him doing 225 for 100. We got to speed this up. I'm going to be here all day. Just consider the density. The density of this type of training is so high. If you were to do 5 sets of 10 with 315, that'd take you 15 minutes if you were moving pretty quick. If you're only resting a minute or two in between to catch your breath, this is all of that in like 4 minutes, 5 minutes. That is insanely high density, and that comes with a very big training stress. Almost missed it. Almost missed it. All right, let's get to the GOAT. We got Tom Platz with his 23. So now this is funny. This was done, apparently Vince McMahon put this on. I had no idea for all these years. I knew this event went down. I didn't know what the context was. But apparently Vince McMahon was doing some WWE shit and he ended up hosting this. And that by itself adds a lot of like suspect qualities, because this is supposedly where Fred Hatfield squatted 800 pounds and he was in like his 50s. Tom was wearing a squat suit. That's like an early generation marathon suit, I think. I don't know what the suits were like. This is 93, so I don't know exactly how good. Those suits aren't as good as they are now, but they still offer a good amount of support. Now, Szatmary, who's standing right behind him, apparently was on record as saying he thought that it was a bullshit lift. He was talking about, I don't know if he was talking about the bar whip. He was talking about how his pacing never changed. You see, he also looks very springy. Now, the reason there is less doubt, the reason people will give Tom Platz the benefit of the doubt, this is a man who is known for having like the biggest thighs on the planet. This is a guy who is known for doing this type of training for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So it fits a little bit more when you have somebody who defined what huge quads were do a performance like this. That makes more sense. So I don't know. I'm on the fence about that one. I'm on the fence. There's no doubt in my mind that in his heyday, Tom Platz could have put on some nasty squat performances, but I want to say I'm about 50-50 on that one. It just doesn't look like what we see from the best strength athletes around. Not just strength athletes, but bodybuilders, people that train in that threshold. All right, and then we got Joey Szatmary. Joey is looking juicy, man. Joey is looking thick. Look at him cutting through this. You got to lay off those dumb lifts, man. If you could stay healthy for a little bit, you might put up some big numbers. That's what the bar slowing down looks like. That's what fatigue looks like. 15 reps. 15 reps at 525. That's pretty damn impressive. That's pretty damn impressive. Juji, I think, did the same thing. I think he got 10. Now we got Joe Sullivan and Jake Benson. Jake ended up getting through 19, which, damn impressive. Now, right now, you should be seeing how fast his pace is. This is a normal working set in the gym. He's not pacing himself for that number. And I really think that's why he failed this attempt. But it's a different thing. You have a powerlifter like Joe. You take the training that typical powerlifters do. He doesn't have the capacity base to recover from this type of stuff. So the prospect of hanging out with the bar on your back longer actually works against you. And then he goes lights out. Lights out. Nasty attempt. Nasty attempt. But, you know, the things that drive strength in powerlifting aren't going to get you through something like that. You got to spend a lot of months in the pain cave. Muscular endurance increases really, really quickly, but you have to embrace the suck. He was looking like he was trying to get through it super fast. I don't think there's any doubt if the guy just learned how to pace his squats a little bit better, he could have pulled off. I mean, he could have set 25 reps and had the number to beat. Of course, I got to conclude with mine because I did some gnarly high rep squat work in preparation for the LA Fit Expo about 3 years back when I competed against Larry Wheels. That was the big buzz of the contest because there were some good heavyweights, but then an all-time world record holder in powerlifting throws his name in. Everybody gets real excited. So I wanted to see what I could do. And my training involved a lot of density work. I knew we had a minute cap, so I didn't take anything past a minute, but I was practicing pacing myself and seeing what I could do in that time. I ended up doing, this was my last squat. Now you see how juicy I am. God, I'm big. Fat. That's a lot of pork I'm eating right there. I'm 275, I think, right here. And my goal was to pace a 455 squat AMRAP about 8 or 10 days out from the meet, just to get my capacity peaked, just to get that last bit of strategy dialed in. If I had to keep going, there's no doubt I could have taken this to 20. And gun to my head, I think I had 500 for 15 around this time. So these are some of the most ball-busting feats of strength that exist in strength training. There aren't a lot of things you can do that are a lot harder than putting a weight on your back and just going until you can't go and then trying to go a little bit further. This is usually what leads people to puke or to pass out. It causes just crippling pain throughout the thighs. It teaches you a lot about grit, but it also makes you a lot bigger, stronger, and more conditioned. So this is one of those exercises where you don't have to really worry about dialing back the effort. If you're talking about utilizing maximal weight, that becomes a problem. If you're talking about heavy overloaded movements, that becomes a problem. When you're talking about something that's so biomechanically friendly as a squat, and you're talking about this longer kind of endurance type threshold, you can recover and improve from that at a pretty fast rate, which means you can do this with somewhat high frequency. You don't have to pace it out the way you would your max ever squat work. So I encourage everybody at least go through a phase of high rep squatting if they don't make it a staple where they consistently do it on a regular basis. So let's see it, guys. I want to see everybody's 20 rep squat. You can send them to me through email. You can link me or tag me on Instagram. Let's meet back here in a month, pour one out for Jesse Marunde, and see who had the ballsiest 20 repper. If you're interested in coaching and templates, check out EmpireBarbellStore.com. That is where you can get a hold of me directly. And if you want to see how I structure my squat workouts, check out my Patreon page. All of my workouts are going up in a very concise, easy to digest form, and it has slides of all of my weights, all of my sets, all of my reps, so you see directly how I'm planning my workout, how I'm making jumps, how I'm trying to put this all together. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Until next time, this is Bromley. I'll see you.